Welcome to this training on Incoterms 2020. In this material, we'll walk you through what Incoterms are, why they matter, and how you can use them confidently in real trade situations. But let's begin with a story. Meet George. He works in the sales department. Recently he got his promotion as a sales manager. He reads a lot, works very hard from morning till late evening. He loves to meet clients and close deals, be it in cafes or in customers' premises. But there's one thing George struggles with: trade contracts. More specifically, Incoterms. Every time a deal reaches the contract stage, George starts to feel uneasy. Because that's when the hard questions come up: who arranges the transport? Who handles customs clearance? And when exactly does risk transfer to the buyer? That evening, George went home with a mission. He made himself a strong coffee, grabbed a couple of trade books, and opened his laptop. What are Incoterms 2020? And he started reading. So what are Incoterms? And who made them? Incoterms are referred to as international commercial terms. Incoterms define the risk and responsibility of a shipment between the buyer and the seller. Incoterms were developed by international chambers of commerce. Why do we use Incoterms? Incoterms hold universal meaning around the world. People use Incoterms to avoid misunderstandings in foreign trade contracts by clarifying the tasks, costs, and risks. How to use Incoterms? If parties want Incoterms 2020 rules to apply to their contract, the safest way is to clearly mention it in the contract. For example, CIF, Hong Kong Incoterms 2020. ICC grouped the Incoterms 2020 into two categories. Number 1, rules for any modes of transport. Number 2, rules for sea and inland waterways transport. In the first group, we have 7 Incoterms. We have created an easy-to-understand chart that displays Incoterms 2020. The left side of the chart displays the different types of Incoterms beginning from top to bottom. The top side of the chart displays the different obligations and charges, and displays which are covered by the seller, and which are covered by the buyer. Blue points to the sellers and yellow points to the buyer. So let's start with the first Incoterm, EXW, which means Ex Works, or Ex Warehouse. Have you ever signed a sales contract using Ex Works, only to be later blamed for customs delays, or unclear loading responsibilities? You're not alone. Ex Works seems simple: the seller just makes goods available. But in practice, it creates one of the biggest traps in international trade. Ex Works requires the seller only to place the goods at disposal, not load them, not clear them, not arrange transport. If the place of delivery isn't clearly named, the seller can choose one that works best for them, even if it's risky for you. What if the goods are damaged while loading by the seller's forklift? Under Ex Works, the buyer may still bear that risk. And export clearance? Not the seller's job under Ex Works, unless otherwise agreed. Before, you agree to Ex Works without realizing you're responsible for transport, export formalities, and even loading risks. After, you define a precise delivery point, agree who loads, and maybe choose FCA instead, where seller handles loading and export. Suddenly, your deals become clearer, smoother, and less risky. Let's share me some tips how to use Ex Works safely step by step. Step 1. Specify the exact place of delivery, don't leave it to the seller. Step 2. Agree who will load the goods, and put it in writing. Step 3. If you'll be exporting, don't assume the seller will help. Step 4. Confirm your transport and customs arrangements before the deal. Step 5. If in doubt, consider FCA, where the seller helps more. Before you use Ex Works in your next contract, ask yourself: have I defined the delivery point clearly? Am I prepared to handle all transport and customs steps? If not, maybe Ex Works isn't the right Incoterm for this trade. Remember, the simplest term on paper can be the most complex in practice. In an Ex Works agreement, the seller only needs to prepare the goods, This means packing them so they are ready for pickup. The goods stay at the seller's place, and the buyer comes to collect them. The risk passes to the buyer as soon as the goods are made available. From that point on, the buyer is responsible for all risks and costs. Neither party is required to arrange insurance under Ex Works. However, the buyer takes all the risk from the moment the goods are made available, so it's often the buyer who arranges insurance. Now, let's move on to the next Incoterm, FCA.